Hello and welcome to the Story Engine podcast. My name is Kyle Gray, and today on the show we have Tamara Thompson. Tamara is the founder of Broadcast Your Authority and helps professionals who are extremely talented at what they do get real success by sharing who they are on podcasts and on YouTube. We're going to explore Tamara's brilliance in not just creating great content, but creating great experiences between the content. And we're going to listen in and get a glimpse at her story of how she translated years in the filmmaking industry, a brilliant vision and taste for design, into something that was scalable, repeatable, and achievable, and has created millions and millions of dollars for the people that she's worked with. So without any further ado, let's hand it over to Tamara. Tamara Thompson, welcome to the Story Engine podcast.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
I am honored to have you here as a master in podcasting and video and events and experiences, and to have known you for maybe like 5 or 6 years now. It's an honor to finally have you here on the show, but I know you well, but I know my audience may not know you yet. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're showing up in the world today?
Oh, it's a loaded question. Just kidding. Yeah. So I'm the founder of Broadcast Your Authority. It's a premium podcasting experience agency. What I love about the whole experience part of helping people is we work with established companies, leaders, founders that are utilizing podcasting in some way. If it's utilizing it for their own show, or if it's to be featured on other shows, or building relationships with networks of business podcasts that can come back and connect each other. I love connecting the dots. And that's what I think is the most important thing in business and life, is to connect the dots for other people. Because when you do that for other people, it comes back in spades. It's truly a gift and an opportunity to help more people in the world. And I love it through the medium of video podcasting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Connecting the dots and connecting people. I see this platform has been one of the greatest ways to have conversations, deepen relationships. And you're doing that in a lot of different ways. And I think you bring something unique. While you have most of the things that most agencies provide in terms of helping podcasts, I think you bring something much more complete to the scene and the experience of it. And I guess experience is the key word here. Is it's not just about producing and getting graphics up and getting a show published, but you create experiences for your clients and your guests. Can you tell us a little bit about this unique ingredient and how it fits in with everything else that you do and you provide?
Yes, that's a great question. So like I said, I love the experience model. We not only create this seamless process for their podcast, but we've always been told a lot by our clients that we show that we care, because there's a lot of things that come into that. So it's like being able to go through showing that you care, but also putting together experiences. And that's what I love, is having the team, delegate on the agency side or the booking side. But then there's this third element on the experience level where we like to surprise and delight. So I literally got a text message from a client like yesterday. She was like, I just love your experiences. Like, we get that quite often. And when we say experiences, we like to give more value, right? So like bringing people together, if it's through a podcasting media experience where we actually invite our clients and guests out, or power partners, or potential prospects that we want to build relationships with, we fine tune that and say, like, this person seems like a great individual. Let's connect them with so-and-so. They built success. They would be great for this person's show. This is a great client of ours. Let's match make them with this person. So we invite them to come out these experiences, where this last one we just had was 3 days of us connecting the dots, not just for our show, but for our client shows and for other people looking to be featured on other shows. Because some people are like, well, I don't want to have a podcast. And that's totally fine. You can leverage podcasts in a much stronger way to get leveraged and booked on other shows to reach audiences that also cater to what you do. And so we have not just the podcast media experience, but we have PR experiences where we've partnered with SiriusXM, where our clients fly out to SiriusXM in Las Vegas certain quarters, and they're featured on our show in this gorgeous $14 million studio, where they get to come out and be featured on our show, where we receive over 50,000 plus downloads a month to our own show. But it doesn't stop there. They don't get just featured on our show. We say, hey, we flip the lid and say, come on this side of the table and be a co-host on the show. So it's something much bigger than ourselves. And so it's like myself, Danielle, my partner, and then two other people will join in, but we strategically match them to be co-hosts of somebody across the room that we're going to interview that they could potentially connect together in a strong way. So it's really like fine tuning that is the part of the day with health and wellness experts or people in the healthcare industry is this half of the day going towards spirituality and intuitives and psychics. Like this is where this is going, right? Maybe it's on the technology side or leadership, thought leadership side. We strategically have these people come in at these time slots so that they can get featured and matched together. So it's really just about putting these experiences together that are thoughtful and intentional. And so we do that in different ways, and we end up surprising people throughout the experiences as well. And so they're always just like, wow, this is really cool. And they never know what to expect because sometimes they don't know where they're going to be filming.
Wow. Oh, that's a lot, even a lot more in depth than what I was expecting. I knew it was fun, but to bring in psychics and health experts is definitely unexpected. What are some of the changes that you see in the people that go through this? How does this make them a better podcast guest or a better podcast host in the long run?
It's a great question. So we go through different strategies and coaching with our clients too, because some people are comfortable on camera, some people are not comfortable on camera. And so it's like we want to make them feel comfortable before they ever step on that, what we call virtual stage. Podcasting is a virtual stage for those that love, speaking or want to become a speaker. I think it's a great platform for people to start off on. So I think it's just about teaching them how to feel comfortable, have them do some test runs. I literally spoke to a gentleman just about 20 minutes ago where he was trying to figure out how to set up his office studio. So we had our videographer like tap in and say like, hey, this is how we do this. But we're also making him feel comfortable, right? So it's about feeling comfortable, feeling confident, having the right tools and resources to step into that space, really.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, as somebody, I've had a lot of guests and I've been a guest on a lot of podcasts. What are some of the things that you think makes for a great podcast guest and a great podcast host? I'm certain you have some unique perspectives that could be really valuable for all the listeners who want to be speaking more today.
I think it's really about doing your research first before you even go on a show, understanding what the show is, what the structure is, if they do provide it, potentially even doing a pre-interview on that side of it, because we always tell our clients, like, it'd be good for you to go take a listen to Kyle Gray's show before you go on his show, because you want to understand what the value he's doing, the structure he's providing for the audience, and that you can actually go in there and provide enough value and understand the direction he's going to help support you as well as himself. So when you lead into it for the value add of listening on both sides, we always say to the host and the guest, it's always about doing a little bit more of research first, and also listening to what they're providing, what ask more questions. How can you also help provide things after the show interview? A lot of the things that happen with our clients is they build relationships with the show hosts. Say, hey, if they have time, I ask them if they have a couple minutes after the show to connect and see how you can help support them, vice versa, because we're connecting the dots on both sides. You look at it like, I'm stepping into your house today, Kyle. This is your house, your audience, and I'm grateful to be here, right? So it's all leading with gratitude on that side, and then saying like, well, how can I help support? Of course, I'm going to share it out to social media. We can send it out to our email list. What else do you have going on where I can actually make physical or virtual introductions to other guests or people that you may want to work with in your company? It's like really providing that extra value, because a lot of the times people come in and our clients will be like, oh my gosh, they loved the interview so much they asked me to come back for another one because they knew I spoke on this topic, or they want me to come speak to their mastermind group, or they want me to speak on their summit, and vice versa, or I invited them to come speak on my show, or I invited them this. So it's like really when it reciprocates of just understanding, like providing value on both sides and listening to both parties, I think shows can go so much more in a further direction when people don't step in with a big ego. And because if people are just about themselves, or like me, or I'm on the show kind of thing, like that's really not what we teach individuals. And I think it's just being a human being to be able to really, come in to just be yourself, share value, share how you can help them, and then ask ask at the end, how can I help serve you more? Like, thank you so much for having me on your show. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people, I think, miss out on opportunities to help continue to prosper these relationships.
I 100% agree. After this show, I have near 400 episodes now. It's been like 6 years or
Congrats.
something. Thank you. And I get outreach from potential guests and agencies a lot of the time, and they miss what you are talking about. They talk about how they can add value to my audience with their content. And of course, I want to add value to my audience, but that pretty much goes without saying. But what they very rarely understand is that there is a host behind this who is
100%.
creating the episodes, financing them, or doing the work themselves, and putting a lot of time and effort into this. And it's a real labor of love.
Yeah,
And
and you've built this platform to your audience. Like they should be grateful to come on and say thank you. Like, I'm being able to share my message with your audience, but you've built it, right? And so it's just sharing that side of it. And yeah, the time, energy, finances that goes into it. People just need to, think a little bit differently when they approach people.
I've had some real horror stories sometimes. I once had somebody sign on to be a guest on the show as they were driving a car around. And yeah, could you believe that? And they didn't understand why that wouldn't work out.
If somebody literally called in from their cell phone and we were tapping them into Sirius XM, I would 100% call the back room and be like, click. Like, you're not gonna like call in on a phone while you're driving a car to these studios that easily $1,000 an hour for us
Mm-hmm.
on that side, and we're doing multiple. So like, it's about, ours is also about like quality. People can definitely tap in virtually with us, but like to me that means that they're not showing that they care about the quality and didn't do the research of how we would produce in a professional studio.
Absolutely.
100% you can tap in virtually, but people know the quality that we look for, and they've all respected that when they do tap in virtually, right? You got to make sure you got a microphone. You got to make sure we can hear you. You got to have good lighting, good enough camera, good enough Wi-Fi connection. Just follow those 4 simple things, and then you're in the door.
It's really not that hard.
True.
If
Very much.
with like the mic that I have, if you can have just like $100 mic that you get really close to, have a nice environment. I mean, I've put a lot of thought into this studio. I'm really proud of the space that I've created here. But I see having a microphone, especially in the day, not just on a podcast, but in everything. It's like wearing a tie to your Zoom call to have a good microphone, even if it's not being recorded and published anywhere. It creates a nice professional experience. And with all of the Zoom calls that we're all doing these days, it's one of the highest leverage investments that you can make.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because you can get a decent microphone for like $30. You can get a really nice microphone for $100. You can go out and get like the whole studio set up, the arms, everything, the connectors, all that stuff. You can get a mixer. I mean, you get everything for like under $300 just to like get it in there, and just think of the lifetime value of that with having over like 400 shows. Let's say you're using like the same thing over that, you've definitely got your money's worth. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
So tell me, you've put a lot of thought into who you serve. And I'm curious, what do you think the biggest problems that somebody who would be an ideal client for you are that you solve for them?
Yeah, I think a lot of people we work with, established businesses, corporations, leaders, they've already they've fast tracked to success. They're at this point where they're either have example, like let's say a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a true story. So, like example for one of the corporations that we work with, they were like, oh, we're gonna bring you in. We took over their podcast. They had it for almost a year, but they're like, we have too many chefs in the kitchen. Was their pain point really? And I giggled because I literally asked them how many chefs they had in the kitchen, and the gal said, I think it's about 16. And I giggled because I thought she was joking, but she was not joking whatsoever. So it was like all these different departments for a billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company in the real estate space. And I was like, wow, and we've gotten the team. We've been working with them for over 2 years. They're in the top 1% in the commercial real estate space. And so now they only work with two. Our team works with 2 people on their team versus 16. So we were able to just kind of help delegate that piece out to really just have us fine tune and focus on everything with their video podcasting, their YouTube channels, their advertisements with the ads that they have for it. And so it was just like a encompassing one-stop shop coming in for them as a corporation. That really opened my eyes to thinking about, wow. And we started working with other corporations that had the same thing. All of a sudden you had like 6 people on a call and you're like, why do we need 6 people to communicate with in these departments? Other group of established businesses that we've worked with are a lot of times are the leaders, the thought leaders, the CEOs or founders that have fast tracked. Maybe they've scaled and exited a couple of businesses at this point, but they're looking to go on that personal branding journey, right? So they're going to build that personal brand. They get their personal branding out there. But they want to speak on more stages. Maybe they want to write a book, launch a book. A lot of people come to us to work with us on the podcast virtual booking tour because they want to promote their book on other shows. Maybe they don't want a podcast, but they're down that track. But what's unique about it, I would say about 70% or maybe more at this point, 70% of those individuals that come to us just for the podcast booking tour, after they've gone through that experience of promoting their book on other people's shows, they got so excited. They're like, I want to start a podcast, right?
Wow.
So that's what's cool about that is people come to us not ever thinking that they want to start a show, but they go through that experience being on other people's shows and they say, well, you know what? I've got some time now. Maybe they've exited. Maybe they're going on that personal branding journey. Maybe they want to speak on more stages. And then we always say, hey, virtual podcast booking tours is a great practice to get on a virtual stage, basically. So it's really people that have figured it out. We don't typically work with solo entrepreneurs, newbies on that side, people that have strong offers, core offers in place, services, so that we can help them, teach them how to strategize, how to lead from their podcast back to their core offers and actually generate revenue from it. So that's one of our biggest passions is the strategy side behind how to lead them to your offers and your brand from your show. So yes, you have a great show, but how can you utilize it more to generate more revenue, which leads to more impact? And so that's really what we love doing is like doing the overall encompassing kind of not the customer journey, but the customer strategy throughout that journey as well.
Yeah. So these are solutions and they are very good. Can we explore this a little bit further into what this would manifest as a problem before we encounter the solution? And some of the things I think I want to do podcasting, but my time is really valuable. And I don't want to waste my time. I'm not sure how to translate this into real business. Am I just wasting my time, embarrassing myself? What are these kind of qualities or problems that are behind a lot of these things that you've shared?
Yeah, so the time constraint one is easily fixed through this. We talked with a lot of high level individuals, high performers, leaders, and the biggest thing is like do I have time to add this into our longer scheme of marketing? Yes, of course you do, because one, we're encompassing like the direction of the content. Like you don't have to think about because some people are like, oh, I can't even start to think of the content ideas that I'd like to have, right? Well, here's what people are actually searching for on YouTube and Google in your industry. Here are some suggested topics. Here's some suggested topics. Now let's matchmake who can also be experts on your show in these related topics. So we're already matchmaking there. We're creating the direction of the show and the topics so they don't have to think and spin their brains about it, right? And the side of the time essence piece, that's super simple. So that's like saying like, hey, what you really need to do is batch record content. So like, hey, Kyle, I'm sure you set up like interviews, like you're like, I have my booking calendar and I have it for specific days of the month and you have specific time slots, right? So you say like, hey, batch record. The majority of our clients batch record only once a month. Maybe they even take the solution that I do and I record once a quarter. So I'm recording an entire season of content in one sitting in the course of either 1 to 3 days. Not everybody has that energy, but some people do. And they're like, this is smart. We've got the direction already from the team. We've got the production, like if they're coming in and utilizing one of the studio spaces that we have access to, or if they're doing it virtually, the only thing that our clients are doing is showing up. They're showing up virtually or in person to get the content recorded. We do the rest. So like the time essence thing, it shouldn't be an issue because if you batch record, let's say And let's say your show's an hour long, right? So you're like, I'll do 4 episodes back to back for 4 hours, 1 day a month. And I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to try to make sure that all those guests can go on the same day. Sometimes that doesn't work. But if you do it in person and people are open to coming in person, set those interviews back to back to back as well. So like this last Monday, we set up 5 interviews back to back to back for one of our shows on a Monday. And we were able to play matchmaker, connect the dots. There was 5 episodes. The next day, we hopped in for one of our other shows. And I was like, well, let's get these ladies can come in and be on our other show. Now I'm talking about like my own show. So I have 3. So I had gals come in for 2 other shows and so on. Of course, in between, we're rotating the clients that are coming in. And they typically, we make it set. So each individual coming through the experience gets 4 episodes in those media experiences. So it's either they select it. They can either have 4 episodes for their own show, or they can have 4 episodes on other people's shows, or they can alternate it. So no matter what, they're getting 4 episodes, and that's 4 pieces of content, typically going over 4 weeks out of a month, really. So there's your entire month of content in basically 4 hours out of 1 day or so.
Mhm.
So, and you can do it in your own office too, right? So like when you're in the corporation field or an office space or a clinic, maybe you're a doctor, we've taught a lot of people just to set up their own studios within their office somewhere where they can go to, and they can set up their recording. They do it like either once a month, or they'll just be like, you know what? I don't mind going in on Mondays and just recording one episode, but that's their own choice. But it literally is like 1 hour each time. So equivalent to 4 hours a month. So hopefully that makes sense, because people typically say like, oh, I don't have a lot of time. Do you have 4 hours out of the month that you could just set aside? Maybe 1 hour a week? They're like, oh, I can do that.
Mhm.
Like you just set it on the calendar. Especially if it's solo content or educational content that's virtual, you can choose when and where. You can select the times for guests because it's your show, right? So invite people to be on your show on your time.
So some of the things that I'm, again, digging up problems and reading in between the lines here is it's time. And I also want to look good. I don't want to embarrass myself. I want to be a professional on this. And if I make a bunch of stuff that doesn't make me look good, especially if I'm a successful leader and now I want to showcase my personal brand around who I am rather than just the company face.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I'm hearing is I want to connect with the best people. I don't want to have like wishy-washy guests or waste my time on this. I want to be with other very high level people right away to not establish myself, but reflect how far I've already come. And I want this to be simple and easy because I spend all day making hard decisions, and I don't want to be making decisions in this. It's not just my time, but making choices, as I'm sure everybody listening in has experienced. It takes resources to make a choice, and all of these little choices can add up. And if somebody can just make it that simple, and you're saying set aside 4 hours and everything's going to be done for you so you can just show up and rock and be your best self and connect with the best people, it solves a lot of problems in one.
Well, and when we also help lead with expertise and guidance beforehand too. So if somebody's looking to like start or launch a show versus us like taking over a show, a lot of the time that they're like, oh, wow, you made that seamless. You sent me like a gear list. You made recommendations. You had a producer hop on to look at my office space to tell me exactly where I need to set up my virtual studio. And then, of course, when it's in person, it's a lot easier for us just to show them what we've set up. And they're like, man, this looks amazing on that front of it, too. So it really depends on what level of production you're going with, too.
Mm-hmm. So some of the things that I think I'm hearing that make you the most unique. We've said it earlier, I think experiences combined with services, which makes for better connections. I think high-end, like end-to-end done for you. What are the other things that you like really showcase and are proud of that you provide in what you do?
I think it's just building like strong relationships. So bringing in like referral relationships with our clients, like, going in for the ask is okay for us because we provide this, customer relationship where we have a great retention rate of of clients coming back year after year for their show because we've built that. We've asked, we're transparent on things when analytics are, up and down, where it's like, this is what's working. This is what's not working. This is what we suggest. Is about showing that attention to detail, because when you're working with a lot of service agencies that I've seen, there's a lot of rinse and repeat. Just because we have a system in place and things are typically a rinse and repeat, we're also bringing in value and different things in as well. Like, how can we spice this up? Or if a new trend came out, like, okay, so this last couple of weeks, we turned around and created the little baby videos for all of our clients, like the little baby podcast videos, like, because it was trending, right? They were like going viral. So all of a sudden the clients are just like laughing and giggling, but they had fun with it. We recorded all these little short clips and they started posting them. Like, I've seen them go out the last couple of weeks. It's cool to see, like, because they're like, can you create a baby video for us? We're like, why not? Like, it was just something fun that was trending with the AI apps and stuff like that, like themselves being a baby on a podcast, like super cute. Not that it goes with their business or anything, but it was just like a fun trend. Like, it's just like paying attention to the data, paying attention to the trends, hopping on some fun things, interacting with them, but also just seeing how we can continuously help supporting them as well. It's like people are always looking for ways to innovate. Like, we bring ideas to the table. How can we innovate more with their new offers coming up? How you can incorporate that into advertisements through your podcast. Some of our clients like to have like straight form, like ads dropped in. Some people are just like, no, I want the more organic feel because I don't want them to feel like I'm pitching them. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's about paying attention to the detail in that aspect too. It's just like building the relationships is one of the biggest things for us.
Yeah. Now, Tamara, I want to hear from you and your experience. I want to read back some of these problems and things that your clients solve. And since you bring psychics and health experts to your event, I'm sure you can tap into some of your feminine
clients.
Oh, yeah.
They're our clients. So we host their shows, right? So one of the best ones I love right now is the Psychic Within. So Carrie Cardozo is one of our she's one of our clients. So she came in last week to the retreat and she recorded 4 episodes and we paid Matchmaker for her to be on other people's episodes. That's what I meant when they come into our space. We do have cool experiences where we have like energy healing and stuff like that. But what I meant by that is these experts come in not just to share their expertise, but they are our clients. So we are producing their shows in these industries.
All the better. Okay. So I'm going to read some of these things back to you. And I want you to feel where these words and these problems occur in your body. And then we're going to find some stories and moments from your own life that reflect these.
Okay.
And I think there's a time where you were experiencing too many decisions, too many cooks in the kitchen, all fighting and vying. And it just felt like the whole process of maybe getting yourself out there. I know you've been in podcasting and media for a while, but I'm sure you've had experiences that reflect this. Being successful as a leader, but wanting to get your own personal voice and your own message out there. And I not having time to even think about the content that you want to make, the things that you want to say. And there's a lot of competing things and choices that you have to make. And so you want to make sure that this is valuable for you. You want to connect with the best people in the process, but there's probably so many influencers out there who are pointing the way, but aren't really like speaking to the level of professionalism that you want to do and convey. And you want something that's simple and easy so you can just show up and shine. Was there a time where you were experiencing a lot of these things in the past, maybe in other businesses that you've worked on, or maybe just an emotionally resonant time?
That's a loaded question. Let's see. I don't ever feel like there were too many chefs in the kitchen. I think when we started the company, I had all the abilities to create all the aspects, right? So I went to film school, right? And so I knew how to film and edit and direct and write scripts and create content. And so I did a lot of that in the very beginning stages, but I didn't want too many chefs in the kitchen. I always wanted to delegate out. So I think I was able to quickly lead by example and start delegating. So that helped us. So I didn't ever feel like we had too many chefs in the kitchen. It was about delegating the right chefs to the right areas of the kitchen. So, because now we have all project floor managers that then delegate into the main project managers that manage the creatives. So there's a lot of chefs in certain departments, but they all work really well together. On the other aspects, trying to think. Share with
Was
me
there
one of the
was
other.
there a time where you felt that you had all of these talents from film school and all of this vision, but it wasn't expressed in the way, or your talents weren't channeled in the way that you knew their potential?
I'm not sure if it made sense to say that they weren't being expressed. I guess it was just kind of going through the growth period of doing things. When you first start off as like a solopreneur, right?
Yeah.
But I learned to delegate pretty fast. But yeah, I didn't want to do all those things too. Even though I knew how to do things, I didn't want to do those things. So I always saw things take off, and there was like a perfectionist side, I guess, in the very beginning. But then when I started to delegate out, I didn't need to have that perfectionist side, and then I realized that other people could do things better than me, and then I was like, oh, that's great. I don't want to. I didn't want to focus on things myself other than getting the content out there, which then helped me become more of a face for the brand. But now the brand's more of a brand versus my face, because it's all about everybody else that we're broadcasting their authority. So it's not just me on all of our channels, it's our clients, it's our power partners, it's my partner, So as I grew, I always knew I didn't want it to be just something much bigger than myself. So maybe at the beginning, it was a little bit more about just getting more of the message out there, but it wasn't just about me, I guess.
I think the perfectionist moment is something that we can tap into. Do you remember a really specific moment or day early on wrestling with the perfectionist side of you?
Yeah, I mean, I let that go quite a while ago. The perfectionist side was definitely in the beginning days when we did like video editing and stuff. So when we had the production company, I would edit. Then my partner would be like, "Are you done?" I was like, "Almost done. Give me 5 minutes." Right? 4 hours later, "Are you done?" "No, just give me just 2 more minutes." But the reasoning behind that was because I was telling these beautiful stories through these trailers, these brand story trailers, that I wanted to make sure that we never ever sent, and we still do it to this day, we never sent a rough draft. I never believed in a rough draft. And so when you sent something to a client, you wanted to make sure it went through yourself, another quality manager, and then a producer to literally be like, hey, I want to send the best version of this video to the client. So one of the things that I did majority of the time, literally, I want to say it was like 99% of the time, because of that perfectionism, I took too much time doing it, they would never need revisions. Never need revisions. We had a client, she calls herself Mari Smith, the Facebook queen, the queen of Facebook, Mari Smith. She had us produce a trailer for her, a speaker trailer one year, and she said that she was the most picky editor on any, like nobody that she had worked with had ever, literally, she said to those words, she was like, nobody could get her brand right, nobody could get her voice right. She came in, she said, Tamara, your team, literally, she's like, I don't have any edit requests, and this is the first in my entire life in the video marketing world. Like, that was the attention to detail that I wanted to teach our team members, is to always produce the best. And that was the perfectionist piece that I did back in the day when I used to be a video editor for the company, like in the very beginning. But I had to let that piece go because you couldn't scale that way. But
Totally.
when you teach people and lead them to
Yeah.
think like that. And I've had a lot of our video editors to this day that have been working with us 5 to 7 years now. And they literally like, boss, you've taught me so much. Like, they wanted to get my opinion. And I'd be like, oh no, I would have done this and do this because I had that vision. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Thank you so much for teaching me and showing me. And now they put those elements into their own editing, but they're not like being perfectionists, but they're putting that thoughtfulness into it, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Can you describe, during the times of the 2 more minutes and 5 more minutes, the office and the room that you were in when this was happening early on?
That was always it was literally just in my home office. So it was at home, and I'd be like, oh, you can just bring me dinner. I'll just edit. Yeah, that was like a long time ago. I did all of our contract work out of my home office like years ago when I lived in Seattle. So that was a long time ago.
Can you give me one physical detail about the office?
Comfy chair.
Nice. Good.
Comfy spinny chair. Always had to spin around. So lots of hard drives, top of the notch computer editing tools. Always had to have top notch.
Mm-hmm. When this 5 minutes and like 5 more minutes, I know hours passed by. Did you do this editing in the evening or late into the night or through the day? I guess there was bring me your food, so there was at least lunch or dinner occurring.
Yeah, it would go quite a few hours. Like I might edit for like 12 hours straight and not really take a break, but I had food coming at me, because it was literally like, it would be because there was just like one tweak. I would watch the trailer like over and over again, and I'd be like, it's because when you watch something that's super empowering and inspiring, when you have to have the right music, the right, like everything that I did and directed, a lot of it had music overlay. So it was that storytelling through the transitions and the movement and the shots. So it like had to go with the beat of the song. It had to go with I was really good at the storytelling piece through video, through the elements of inspiring music. Weddings, music videos. We won tons of awards for music videos. Documentary films. IndieFlix ended up acquiring our films because the trailers that I edited back then took off and went viral on YouTube. And so that's really what actually turned into our larger story of what we do today is we took these like beautiful trailers and led them to long form content, back then being the full length documentary film that I directed and edited and all these things. And then they went out to the film festivals. I won tons of awards. That was really what turned us into Broadcast Your Authority, because I took that same system from the short form content led to the long form content. So, but back then we called it teaser trailer videos. Now we call it shorts, reels, TikToks. They're compelling videos. They're compelling hooks. They're compelling tips, words that get that first 10 seconds really. So I was doing that back then. And then we applied it to Broadcast Your Authority for the video podcasting space, like pulling that significant, inspiring clip from a podcast that was like, boom, what's that? Leads them back to the full length episode to get traction on YouTube. And so that's really where it evolved. I was able to let go of all of these roles and task oriented things where I was like, I can teach somebody to do this and be more efficient with the time. So now our team hits their quota of specific amount of projects per day, right? So the video editors are editing at least 4 to 5 episodes a day. We have separated the Reels editors from the actual video podcast editors so that they stay focused on their role. Bring in the creatives on this side and so on and delegate. So, but yeah, it really was just myself letting that go. But it was because I was telling a story and I wanted it to be so impactful. From that moment that client opened that first trailer video, I wanted them to be like, wow, mic drop. And it was like that almost 100% of the time. It was incredible. And that's an experience I want people to feel. Like when you watch a video, you get a tear to your eye. It doesn't always happen with all podcasts, because we also work with a lot of educational pieces and informative pieces. They don't have to all be inspiring, but that was really what I wanted them to feel about with like their own shows, that they felt like they were putting their message out there. They were sharing their expertise more. So,
can you describe a wow teardrop moment, maybe at one of your experiences that you had, maybe the first experience that you've created where you built a team and you created this freedom for you so that you could do what you really loved, which is not just creating this vision for things, which you orchestrated so beautifully, but connecting people to each other. And maybe there's a specific moment that you can find that you were like, wow, I've really built something incredible here.
You know what? I think it was actually, one recently was just about almost not even 2 months ago when we had our most recent conference. I would say every single person in that room walked up to me personally during that entire event and just said, wow, like you've curated this experience, and that they could tell how deeply that myself and our team just cared about them, their vision, their mission, their podcasts. And even the clients that came to the stage sharing their stories, like people had tears in their eyes, people were sharing results, but also like inspiration, and how many of them just showed up and said, I just know that we have to continue to work together. Like it was just one of those things where like every single person had something great to say. And you don't always have that at conferences, especially when you have like hundreds of people coming in or whatnot. But I feel like every single person came up and thanked me personally, which was an incredible, like definitely a tear moment on that. Cause every time someone came up and said something, I'm a words of affirmation person for love language. So if you come up to me, I can easily be like, oh, and I see a tear or two, or, or a hug or something like that. But it just solidified and validated again that I know that we're on the right track continuously, still doing what we do with experiences, no matter if there's a dozen people in the room or 100 people in the room or 1,000 people in the room, I know that we're helping somebody, and it's definitely more than one person in the room. And it's just always validated through each experience. People are constantly saying like, this was the best experience yet. Like they just continuously come back and say that. So
Great. Would you like to hear your story?
I would. I was like, yay.
Okay. Just 5 more minutes, I would say, in my comfy, spinny office chair, surrounded by glowing screens and hard drives. I was in the zone. I was attached to this vision, orchestrating music and transitions and sound, creating something that I was really proud of. 4 hours would pass by. She'd come in again. Are you almost done? Do you need me to bring food? Yeah, just 2 more minutes. She'd come and bring a plate next to me, and I would keep going in my comfy Seattle apartment. I loved what I did. I loved telling beautiful stories in music videos, and weddings, documentaries. And I would pour everything of myself into the work that I was doing to make things incredible. I was the most picky editor. I had the highest standard for things because I knew what greatness really was. And after a few of those nights and winning some awards, but realizing how much it was taking to put all of this into it, I decided I wanted to get help. I knew that I could build a team around me that would support this, that would expand what I was doing and allow me to do more of what I cared about most, which I loved the moments and I loved the stories. And I wanted to connect with people. As I continued to get more and more awards and sharing the voices of people, I realized that this same work could be done for entrepreneurs, executives, leaders who were changing the world, who had great vision and great taste, just like I did, but were so short on the time and the energy and the creativity that I had. I slowly started building out a team that would support me, that would share this same vision for the craft that I had. And we started sharing stories of entrepreneurs and leaders just like you. This would take many years and a lot of experimentation and a lot of costly and painful mistakes to really dial in the formula. But we went from taking what once took months of hard work to be able to be done for the speaker in just 4 hours, in sharing their voice, their vision, their uniqueness in the same way that would bring a tear to their eye when they saw it for the first time, when they finally felt seen. And I remember building this over so many years and being at one of my events, creating an experience where leaders whose stories we were telling could share and meet and collaborate, which was my favorite part about this creative process. And between talks, people would come up to me saying, wow, you've created such an amazing experience. And I can tell how much you and your team care. And I realized that I was able to take this once perfectionist vision and build something so much greater, to allow myself to ascend, to connect with other leaders in the world. And that's exactly the experience that I want to create for you right now. This is your voice and your vision. And I've put together the system to allow that immaculate taste that I know you have for what you want to do and the impact you want to make, and express it with the power and precision that you know is possible, but haven't had the time to figure out. I'm going to show you my unique system today for how we're going to do just that.
I was like, Kyle, you're incredible.
Hopefully that counts as some words of affirmation for you.
Oh, no, 100%. I appreciate that. Now you're going to make me cry.
I get a 30-40% cry rate.
You, sir, have a strong gift and ability. And any of the individuals out there ever listening to your show that see that too, it's like, yeah, I'm sure they realize that as well. So you're incredible.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your brilliance, sharing your education and your taste and everything that you've brought, because I know that this has been a true labor of love. Do you have any closing thoughts for us today? And where can we go to learn more about you?
And after that, so hard. I was like, how do I follow Kyle Gray?
Oh,
yeah, no, I appreciate you so much. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I think we met probably back in like 2021.
I remember really connecting in New Orleans. I think we maybe met each other a little bit before that, but that's the time where I really felt we got to drop in. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually made several like good, strong connections that actually most of them recently just came back into my space. I always say it's like this full circle that continuously goes with those that are meant to be in your life.
Yeah.
So I see that. I'm grateful for you. I think for closing thought, anyone that's really, that this may have resonated with, if you're looking to start a show or amplify your current show or get connected on other shows or just get connected with really, really good people. And that's, if you're a connector as well, I think our community is a great space for people to come in and see how we can help them grow it. Yourauthority.com is primarily where people learn about our offers and things like that. But I love to connect with people in general, like over on Instagram. Tamara Thompson official. Tamara Thompson was taken, so Tamara Thompson official is my Instagram. I run the Instagram account. Our team runs primarily the rest of the socials, but we're everywhere with under Broadcast Your Authority, and then our YouTube channel and our podcast. So we love interviewing strong founder leaders that have built success and now sharing their success and impact and stories with our audiences too. So if that type of show resonates with you, feel free to connect over there too.
Tamara Thompson, thank you so much for joining us today on the Story Engine podcast.
Thank you.